Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Litchfield Planning Board meeting of September 15th, 2020. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay,
6 foot clearance. Go to Walmart.
all right. So appointment of alternates. I think we have a full board, a quorum for this evening. Kate's on.
Fine.
Ron, you, myself, and James. So we're good. Roll call of members present. Michael Croto, Chair.
Kimberly Queenan, Vice Chair.
Kevin Lynch, Selectman's Rep.
Ron Stevens, member.
James Buffetti, member.
Kate Stevens, member.
Thank you.
6 of us here.
Okay. First item is public input on non-agenda items. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on non-agenda items and items not on the agenda for this evening? And John, you can tell me if there's no one on the call.
It's only Mr. D, there's no other
Okay.
public members.
All right. Thank you. All right. Hearing none, I will close public input on non-agenda items and we'll go to the first order of business. Food truck Mel's, E.J. Dean. Is Mr. Dean on the Zoom?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. Can you introduce yourself to the board?
Certainly. E.J. Dean with Fiesta Shows. We've been operating the food at Nightmare New England Spooky World at Mel's Fun Park for the better part of 10 years, and also had a food booth this summer out in their corporate picnic grove.
Okay. Kevin, if you want to sort of lead the discussion on this, I know you and the Board of Selectmen had a discussion about it last night's meeting.
Yeah, there is a request to relocate this thing down to the side, and since it's not on the final site plan that he had, it was missed. But they've always had vendors down there in that one corner. There was a plan submitted today, and it showed Joan has it, I believe,
Okay.
and this shows as you drive in where the electrical is. There's a 3-phase connector there. They're going to relocate to the south approximately 110 feet on the grass area still.
Mhm.
And there's always been one there because you had power there and stuff like that over the years when Spooky World was started up. The reason why it's there, we with the Board of Selectmen, allowed that we weren't going to enforce the site plan rule because of COVID and what that did. So we gave Mel's a chance to sell food to the patron because the restaurant was dead. There's no one operating it at all. The person that was in there backed out because everything else but died. Closed the restaurants,
Mhm.
So that's how that worked there. And we gave him till September 20th, I think it is. And we weren't going to enforce the zoning. And he's back here now, and on that final site plan you guys did, it was omitted to relocate it. Because remember, you guys did
The amended site plan.
amended site plan. That was just missed. Okay, and that's why he's here tonight, to see if he can move it to where he's always had one before. In my time here, we've always had vendors there
Mhm.
with Spooky World at that time. There used to be a line on both sides at one time. They change all the time. I just
Now,
want
I don't know, the owners of Mel's, are they aware of that? Or?
Yes, they are. They're very aware of it.
Okay.
Okay. That's why Dean's here tonight, because they've already had a discussion, and he's trying to bring it into compliance because it was omitted. They didn't think about it.
Well, Mr. Dean, why don't you, can you give us a little bit of explanation in terms of the discussion that you had with Mel's about that?
Certainly, and thank you all for allowing me to speak tonight. What had occurred was for previous years leading up through 2018, we had a food booth, typically over in the hayride section of of Mel's, which would be that front area, kind of near the tree line to where you'd enter and exit off the hayride. In 2019, because of labor shortages, we weren't able to put a booth in there. So when Mel's was going through their, and that's where they did a site plan review for you last year, when they were going through their site plan review, obviously making the changes for COVID-19 because they have to have the extra spacing for queue lines for the social distancing aspect. They, in redoing all that redesign, forgot about the food booth. So it wasn't brought to our attention until after they had met with the planning board. So obviously, having the labor and also, wanting to be able to, put a food back there is why we're here. It was, strictly omitted, I think, more just in the, in the shuffle of trying to figure out all the requirements to be open for COVID. It kind of just got missed, unfortunately.
Okay. And you said that he submitted a plan today?
I believe that I seen a plan just recently sent to me.
Okay.
I'm on my computer and I have to go back to my real computer.
I had sent one to Troy Brown previously, which may have only gone to the selectmen. It may not have been forwarded to the planning board,
Right.
which I'm not sure of myself. But on the plan, it's the same booth that is currently in that corporate field area of Mel's. What we would be doing is moving that, further out to the outside entrance of the queue line, so that the queue space is not hindered or altered in any way that's already been approved, and moving that food booth to the outside near the hayride entrance. Which, if I was looking at Mel's, of course I don't have my north, but on the map, but it would be to the left-hand side of the queue line towards the entrance driveway.
So it went before the Board of Selectmen. I know that I did watch the meeting last night, and the board recommended that it come here to the planning board because there was a planning board issue. Is that my understanding?
Yes,
Okay.
because you just got done with the final one.
Right.
This is a change that was omitted, not intentionally omitted. It just got omitted.
Okay.
Well, what I understand and talking to Troy,
Yeah. Okay.
okay, and with those two.
My only thing, I mean, they just submitted a plan. I mean, we can't really review anything if there's already been just a plan just submitted. I mean, they would have to go through the process. And also, I would like to, maybe get some more input from the people at Mel's, maybe Attorney Berman or somebody, just so that they're on board with this. I mean, obviously, we just amended a plan, and we have a specific, criteria, conditions that will meet for that plan as to food vendors and so forth. I think it might be a prudent and more appropriate that at least they're here to address that, and if they have to make any change.
It's a timing issue right now because of Spooky World.
Yeah.
Because it'd be all done, okay, by the end of October. Okay, you won't have no food court there at all. It'll be gone.
Right.
It's a temporary thing. It's a temporary structure. It's on wheels.
And
Yeah, go ahead,
I think,
James.
Mr. Chairman, because of the timeline of going through the full planning board process, and certainly, Selectman Lynch can correct me if I'm incorrect, but I think what the selectmen were looking for was as long as the planning board didn't see, a reason why it shouldn't be allowed, that essentially, and I believe it was on the call last night through the selectmen's meeting, that even if it was just a verbal thing to the selectmen, just stating that that you didn't see an issue, so that the selectmen on Monday night can then issue the stay again, because there isn't enough time for the planning board to do its due process, because of the timeline involved. That it would more just be essentially the recommendation to the selectmen to extend the stay through the operating days of Nightmare New England.
Basically, that's the bottom line, because you won't be able to get it in an agenda item, notify everybody. before it's over, because it takes so long with the process here. And since it's all going to be gone and it won't be back until they come back with a modified plan, and that would be this winter or sometime before they do it again. This way we won't be in a structure. Or if the restaurant works out, if that comes back to life, that'd be another thing. As other towns have done in cities, they're trying to work with the restaurants and food vendors all over, like you see in the city of Nashua. Can't wait till it's plow snow again. But, but there's places where it's going to be happening like this, because the governor has said you can get 100%, but you can't get 100% when you got a 6-foot separation. So your occupancy loads are not going to be good. So that's the big picture of the whole thing. If it wasn't for the COVID and the way we've done it in the past, now I'll be honest, when I was the building inspector, the vendors came and go, and I talked to the chair and stuff like that. But since it was a short time temporary use, the board didn't really get into it that much. They said no. But if it's long-term, staying there forever, then it became more of a board item. Okay, and that's what the board has told me in the past, the other leaders of the board. So that's how, but the main body out there has all been done to the board and cleaned up in the whole 9 yards. This is it's taking that one vendor and relocate him to where he is now and not enforcing it until after this, and then he has to come back. Okay, to put it there. I'm just trying to be logical in the time cycle here, and for the amount of time that's there, the board felt like that, but the board felt it should be, you guys should know about it.
So, Mel's was just here 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand why this issue wasn't raised. Do we have any idea why it wasn't raised 2 weeks ago?
I have no idea why. Okay.
It didn't get brought to my attention. I met after Mel's had gotten their approval from you. I think it was 2 or 3 days later is when we found out that it was not on the plan, after looking at the plan with them to kind of go over what the changes would be for social distancing and for COVID. And that's when we reached out. It was at the end of that week that we reached out to the town manager, Brown, to figure out how to do this, and what led us to the selectmen's meeting last night.
All right, so maybe somebody can enlighten me here. So we had a meeting with Mel's about a month ago, and this issue came up. And the issue came up because Attorney Perlman was asking us to basically approve what the Board of Selectmen had already done. And I was the one that said, why are we doing that? The board has already decided. The Board of Selectmen has made a decision. They decided it. So that issue was there. That was 6 weeks ago. I don't understand what's different. If the Board of Selectmen could give permission to do this 6 or 8 weeks ago, why are they now taking the position that it has to come back to us, since they made the decision without consulting with us the last time? What has changed?
Nothing's changed. I mean, the board felt after the first time we've heard that the planning board had concerns of why we didn't send them to you the first time. And we thought, because we took the board's feeling with, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, was because of the COVID, we gave them till September 20th, I think
10th,
it was.
yeah.
Okay, 10th, whatever. Okay, during that time period, they were going through all the other plan stuff related to the main site. And being it's a temporary, it was just omitted. From my understanding, you just didn't remember because it's just something that just sat there. It's on wheels, okay? It's a temporary thing. May the board of selectmen should have said, well, we're not going to enforce it till after the spooky world is done.
Mhm.
Okay? And then if another coming back and straighten things out. And maybe it would have been forgotten or put on a plan. It was just omitted. My understanding is just didn't get it. If the board decided to bring it back to you to let you guys know, okay, and let you guys decide how you feel about it, being that it's a temporary thing. Okay, it's only there for Next year, it's a whole different ballgame. So he can't just do it.
I think the difference was we finally had an approved plan, right? That flipped in between, right?
And that
Well,
was,
we had an approved plan before.
But it was
The issue
kind
was
of-
that they weren't in compliance
Right,
with the
but
plan.
once
And
we
so
made them
we had to have
compliant.
a show cause hearing to see why they weren't in compliance with the plan, because we approved that last spring and they
I'm not
promised,
familiar with that.
they
Okay.
promised to do certain things, right? They asked for an extension in order to do those things, right? They wanted to go until the
December,
end of the year. The board said no. And as part of that agenda, they raised this issue, asking us to confirm an action of the Board of Selectmen that basically waived that part of the plan. The Board of Selectmen, I assume, has the authority to do that without consulting with the planning board. And so you did. They knew that 6-8 weeks ago. I mean, it's not like this just came up upon them. And the Board of Selectmen had said, we'll give you until September 20th to do it. And then all of a sudden today we get an email saying, oh my God, this has to be decided right away, because the Board of Selectmen has now decided they won't renew that request and they want the planning board to do it. Not mentioning the fact that there's a plan apparently that they haven't even submitted to the planning board. I mean, how do we act on something that we haven't even seen?
I think the reason the Board of Selectmen gave it back to us is now they were in compliance. I think maybe that's why all of a sudden came here, right? Because if they had failed.
This is Stephen Weber, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, Steve.
My position has been not to comment on this, since my daughter is an employee of Mel's Funway LLC. Just from a clarification of what the Board of Selectmen, the action we took. The action we took was not to enforce a site plan violation for 90 days. That allowed Mel's to get through Labor Day for the normal Mel's opening. In the interim, there was a site plan that was being applied for, and you guys were going through trying to get the CEO and make sure it was going to be compliant. My position is that it should have been captured within that plan, and in the 90 days we gave them, they should have came and asked for an amendment to that plan or somehow put it on that plan. So that's just a clarification. The Board of Selectmen did not do anything to override the planning board at all. All we did is we chose not to enforce a site plan violation for 90 days.
Right.
So last evening,
So the question is,
I was not.
so the question is, and why can't you do that again? I mean, why did you pass on that issue last night to say that you can't extend that and you want the planning board to do it? I don't understand
Because
what has changed.
We believe this is a planning board situation. It's in your docket and you should take care of it. At the time it was presented to us, it was when the governor was passing down, do everything you can to help out businesses, restaurants, and so forth. And at that point, we decided, since the Mel's Diner was not going to be open, that we would help out a business within our town trying to keep revenues coming in, because we knew they're going to have a loss of revenue for 90 days to help them get through that portion of it. And at that point, my position was that they were going through the process of getting their site plan approved, and therefore it should have been part of the site plan. In the left-hand corner where the admissions come in, there is a food truck vendor area. Right next to that, I believe, is the porta potty area. So there is a spot to have food truck vendors.
Steve,
Yes.
you didn't see the plan that Troy had?
The only plan that I know of is the plan that the last 2 years we've been modifying and working on when I was the selectmen's rep for the planning board, and also the nights I've covered for you, Kevin. So those are the plans that I know of that we've been trying to work for the last, I believe it's almost 2 years now.
Mhm.
And that's why off the top of my head, I can remember different things on the plan, because it's been such an active part of the planning board for 2 years.
Yeah.
So my input this evening was just to, I'm actually going to
Give
here
us
for
some
the
history.
capital improvement, but I just wanted to clarify the action that the selectmen took 90 days ago. And just to make sure it was clear to the planning board and to all parties involved, that all we did was not to enforce a site plan violation in order to help out a local business through the COVID part based on the recommendation from our governor.
Just so I'm clear, so the position is that you couldn't do that again. I'm trying to just figure out factually what changed. Why couldn't you do the exact same thing that you did before on that issue? And no one has been able to explain to me.
Mr. Buffetti, we could have, but however,
Okay.
our standing was been, they've had 90 days to go and address this issue.
Okay.
So therefore, even out of the original gate when we did it, the majority of the board felt that it was a planning board item. But however, in order to help out based off of what the governor said, we said we'll go ahead and do this. So our intent was we were hoping over the next 90 days that it would have been cleared up.
You can't get it on the agenda within the time period as required here. So it won't
And that's
work.
why we gave them to Labor Day, because the request from
Right.
Mel's Funway LLC was to help them until Labor Day.
Right.
So therefore, that's what we did. We helped them until Labor Day per their request.
Yep, that's helpful.
Okay, thank you.
It was not my understanding when we approved it the first time as a selectman, not to argue the point, was just to get them going with food and stuff like that. And that's what we did, and not to enforce the rule. This is another little glitch that came up right now, which things do, as you all know. So I think if the board, you guys, if you want to follow procedure, it's not going to work in a timely manner, bottom line.
Jay, what are your thoughts on this? I know it's,
I'm struggling a bit with what action the board can take, and somewhat with what it is being asked to do. If I understand it correctly, this item is on the agenda under public comment. So I don't know what action the board can take. I'll back up a little bit. The board can't take action to amend the site plan because this was not on the agenda as a site plan amendment. It wasn't noticed as such. So that action isn't possible this evening. So I guess what I'm struggling with is given how this is agenda'd, what is an action that the board can take, even whatever the sentiment is as to whether, you know, the food cart is, you know, desirable or not desirable. I guess that's really what I'm struggling with. I suppose the planning board could decide that it wants to make communication of some sort to the Board of Selectmen. Perhaps the board could decide that site plan approval isn't necessary. But I don't know that the board could take any kind of action this evening to approve or allow the proposed use, given that it's only on the agenda, you know, under public comment, and again, wasn't properly noticed as an amendment to the site plan.
And
I don't know if that's helpful or not, but that's kind of how I see it.
Jay's correct by law. There's not much you can do.
yeah, no, I don't think there is.
There's a liability if we do it.
Liability.
And I believe that's
Or
what
even if we get granted.
was at one of the comments at the selectmen's meeting was, I think, what they were looking from the planning board for, sir.
I'm sorry, what
What were they looking for?
are they looking for?
I thought because it was my understanding, because the planning board couldn't officially act, that they were like that. They were just looking for a communication from the planning board to the selectmen, whether they thought it would be okay or not for the selectmen to extend the stay.
That's, yeah. I'll go with that.
That was my understanding of last night.
That was mine too.
Is there any liability we need to worry about
No.
because that truck is moved?
No.
Just want to make sure nobody gets hurt over
I
there.
mean, we're in a position where we really can't
Really can't.
do anything. I mean, we don't have a plan. We don't have, you know,
It was
the,
the board's position to let you know what happened.
Yeah.
You know what happened, and come back to the Board of Selectmen again.
I think that's what's going to have to happen.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, unless we have, I don't see where we have the authority. I don't know. I don't.
I can honestly
either.
say, I've seen site plans go up and down all my life, okay? It's something that's always omitted by mistake, or they gotta move this because of this, and we move it, go back and change the plan. We've done that in the past, saying, okay?
Right.
And we come back with an as-built showing the change.
Right.
That's something that the board, that this company could do, come back with an as-built showing it.
Right.
Okay?
But I think they had the time and opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
I think what happened is when you get into where they get into the wagons and how that's going to change, you can't put a lot of people in the wagons anymore because you got to maintain the 6-foot separation. So you got more staging area that they're going to need, and that when they started to figure that out with this COVID situation on what they're doing, they needed more slack, and that's what it boils down to.
No, I mean,
Relocate them.
and I understand that. And listen, I don't think anyone here is
No, I don't think
not
anybody is.
supportive of a local business. All I'm saying is that they had 90 days. They were here. We talked about the plan. They could have petitioned to amend the site plan,
They could have.
and they didn't do it.
They didn't remember this one. Or
Well,
the change.
But again,
That's my
Kevin,
understanding.
you weren't at that meeting, but it was a long,
Oh, I
kind of
know.
a hotly contested meeting when we talked about the fact that they were asking us to approve the action of the Board of Selectmen. And I said, why do we have to approve? The Board of Selectmen has acted.
You don't
Why are
need
you
that.
coming to us to ask us to ratify a decision of the Board of Selectmen? That doesn't sound proper.
Technically, you don't, the selectmen can overrule on public health stuff.
Right. I know, I understand that. And I wasn't taking issue with the Board of Selectmen. I was
Right, I
taking
know
issue with the fact that they knew that was an issue. They knew they had 90 days.
Mhm.
They didn't come before us. And now this gets put on the agenda under public input. And I don't know what actions that we can take. I agree
On
with the
the
chairman.
original-
I don't think there's any actions that this board can take tonight.
And then the last site plan you guys did it show the vendor cart there?
Well, this extension was for Mel's, not Spooky World, right? That's another thing, right? That 90
The
days.
extension was for the park.
Well, it's for the whole
I thought it
park.
was for Mel's, not,
Yeah.
Not Spooky.
not Spooky World. Now this is for Spooky World, right?
But I think it was, I mean, I
That's
think
why
it's-
we keep saying the site
whole-
plan should say which one is Mel's and which one is Spooky World, right? This
I
is-
think it's the whole park. I mean, we talked about the haunt.
Right.
And,
No, I agree to that,
and that's
but-
part of Spooky World, right?
Yes, but when they had that 90-day extension, that was for Mel's. I believe, unless you guys want to correct me, I don't know.
Carnage was part of the Spooky Bowl.
Right.
That was the whole issue.
Carnage was a beautiful piece of.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that there's.
Well, I think when the board,
Distinction.
and I want, if,
The
if
Board of
the
Selectmen
board-
was thinking about Mel's.
they were thinking
itself,
about Mel's when they did that till
okay?
September
And
10th.
that's why we did what we did, to give them some food there.
And now we're
As for
coming here for
Spooky World,
Spooky World.
this is a separate thing. And they wanted to relocate this, so they came back asking that question.
Mhm.
But we don't have time to get it on the agenda for Spooky World in the first place. So my opinion, have them come back to the board, Mel's, and we'll look for the rest of the year and that's it, or something like that. But that's how I feel. I don't know how the rest of the board's gonna feel.
The Board of Selectmen, you
You
mean?
got it.
Yeah, yeah. But
Because it solves the problem and we're done because it's temporary.
Yeah.
Okay? It's temporary.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what it'd be as, just like we did last time.
Okay.
We didn't think about where it was going to be located in relation to what the next step would be. That's why we came to September, because that was all about. Okay?
okay.
So, what-
Okay, guys.
So I
Back to
think
the
what's
point.
going to happen is
Write a
we're just
letter
going
to-
I mean, we will. I mean,
The board will do their own thing.
right. I mean, the Board of Selectmen is going to have to make this decision. We as a planning board can't, because number one, there's a timing issue of notice, and number two, we don't really have a lot of information to go by, and we don't have we go through the process, and we
You have
don't
nothing
have that
here to- yeah,
process,
yeah.
so we can't really.
The board brought it back to you thinking it could be amendment to the thing. That's how I felt. That's why I voted to come back.
And my only
minor
concern with
amendment.
that is that you don't have Mel's here to do that. And I think you would need them to come in and basically to make that decision.
So they're not up there. I just took the initials.
That's just,
Okay.
common sense, but. I think that's what we're going to do. If that's,
I would fire up.
I appreciate the Board of Selectmen, taking that,
Bringing it back, but what, you ain't got the time to do it. We need to do
looking
it.
at, asking us to look at it. But the only problem is that we don't have a lot of authority right now to dive into.
There's
it.
2 members on the Board of Selectmen that have to step down, so the other 3 are going to have to take it up.
So I think it's going to be up to the selectmen.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Make some votes.
Thank you, Steve, for your input. I appreciate it.
Okay. Eddie? Mr. Dean?
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much
Yep,
for that.
thank you for the time.
Okay. Bye.
Good night.
Sorry for the confusion.
No, it's part of life.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is, no matter what you do. I can't wait to grow grapes.
Payback.
Okay. Moving on, excuse me. We have on the agenda, second part of the agenda this evening is the capital improvements presentation. As you know, the Capital Improvement Committee has been meeting over the course of several months to put together a capital improvement or proposed capital improvement plan that looks at all of the capital facility projects within the town and in the school. I've been asked this evening to give the presentation, and this is for the Board of Selectmen, I'm sorry, the Board of Selectmen, the Planning Board, to review this and to have, if you have any questions tonight, to go over this with you. So I will be giving you the presentation for that. There will be a public meeting on this September 23rd, my understanding, with the Capital Improvement Committee. So there'll be an opportunity for public input, additional public input as well. The survey the planning board did, it did go out, I understand, Jay, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So there may be input from that as well. Keeping in mind that that is really a planning board survey. It's not necessarily a capital improvement survey, but I think the two complement each other, and I think that's why we went ahead with that. So just give you some quick background, and then I asked Jay to help me out with a slide presentation, and I'm gonna go to that.
So Mike, I'm happy to share and go through that if you want. Me too. I also did upload it to the site just in case you were more comfortable running through it.
Okay, thank you.
Get yourself.
And I noticed AC must be Andrew Cutter from the Capital Improvement Committee, and the Budget Committee is on this evening. Good evening.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Good evening.
So if you want to, add some stuff, please feel free to do so, as you were part of the discussions for the capital improvement plan. So before I get into the PowerPoint presentation, I just want to go to the statute for a minute. For the capital improvement program is by New Hampshire statute. It's RSA 674, Section 5, which authorizes, and I quote, in a municipality where the planning board has adopted a master plan, the local legislative body may authorize the planning board to prepare and amend a recommended program of municipal capital improvement projects projected over a period of at least 6 years. As an alternative, the legislative body may authorize the governing body of a municipality to appoint a capital improvement program committee, which shall include at least one member of the planning board and may include but may not be limited to other members of the planning board, budget committee, or the town or city governing body to prepare and amend a recommended program of municipal capital improvement projects projected over a period of at least 6 years. The capital improvement program may encompass major projects being currently undertaken or future projects to be undertaken with federal, state, county, and other public funds. The sole purpose and effect of the capital improvement program shall be to aid the mayor or selectmen and the budget committee in their consideration of the annual budget. And basically the purpose of this is to look at what are the needs, are basically what projects classify as urgent or are needed for the town in terms of public facilities. Now, in 2000, that is basically the statute, and it is the planning board that generally would have the authority to do that. But in 2016, there was a warrant article that was presented to the town that delegated the authority of capital improvements to the Board of Selectmen. That same warrant article basically took the authority from the planning board or removed it. And so in fairness to the planning board, tonight, I think it's important that we as a board have the opportunity to review this plan as well. So the Capital Improvement Committee has graciously given us the opportunity to do that, even though by warrant article it was removed from our authority back in 2016. So what was this to do? Well, basically the Capital Improvement Committee was formed basically because of impact fees. Towns can't collect impact fees unless there is a capital improvement plan for the town in place. And this was a real issue for a long, long time. Litchfield has been struggling with. And so the idea of this, the idea was to bring together a committee made up of planning board, made up of citizens, made up of the budget committee, made up of the Board of Selectmen, the school board, to try to put together some kind of plan in order to achieve that goal. But also, too, when this committee came together, we had to come up with a vision statement. And if you look at the slide presentation that in front of you, we did come up with a vision statement as the Capital Improvement Program Committee. And that basically states that the Capital Improvement Committee vision statement is intended to be a blueprint for the next 6 years through the year 2026. The future growth of our town, maintaining and building upon its resources, prioritizing strategic economic development goals, cost impact, as well as offsetting revenue sources, would be within the scope of review of the Capital Improvement Committee. So we looked at the aspects of our town's future considered by the Capital Improvement Committee would include heritage preservation and community character, land use and growth management, preservation of natural resources, economic development, community service and facilities, infrastructure needs, replacement and continuing maintenance of town and school district assets. Also, the CIP aims to put forth a recommended list of capital needs across the town and school district that projects the community's investments while limiting tax impacts and burdens to taxpayers. So the Capital Improvement Committee was to strive to fully be transparent to the residents of Litchfield, to welcome their input and seek the Board of Selectmen, School Board, Budget Committee, the town of voters approval for recommended warrant articles beginning in March of 2021 that can begin to be actioned in a phased, and I think this is important, fiscally responsible manner. So between March and August of 2020, the Capital Improvement Committee met with various departments of the town and boards and commissions, also with the school, the Griffin Memorial, Litchfield Middle School, and Campbell High School. Each gave a presentation about their capital improvement needs. So we reviewed each project. We went and evaluated options as to when and how the projects could be facilitated. And then we looked at prioritizing each project according to their level of need. So if you look on the town side, the committee reviewed proposals for the following: a new police department, new pumper truck and fire engine for the fire department, multi-year road resurfacing, new vehicle and vehicle replacements for the highway department facilities improvements, Darapon parking lot improvements under recreation, a new library, and a Conservation Commission land acquisition funding. On the school side, the Capital Improvement Committee reviewed proposals for GMS, Griffin Memorial School. We also looked at energy efficiency projects for Litchfield Middle School and Campbell High School. the Campbell High School parking lot, the renovation of the Litchfield Middle School kitchen, Campbell High School gym bleachers, stadium turf field at Campbell High School, Litchfield Middle School additional classrooms, Litchfield Middle School parking lot, the GMS parking lot, and the Capital Repair Reserve Fund. We went through the different options and we decided to prioritize those projects, and we came up with a sort of ranking of how we were to prioritize those projects. U here is urgent, a project basically that needs to happen with little or no delay. The next category below urgent would be necessary. Then you have D for desirable. Deferred, the project would have merit, but the committee basically felt that it can be deferred out of the funding period. And research, the project needs more research. We don't have enough information provided. And then inconsistent, the project would basically not be consistent with the purpose of the plan. So those were the rankings that we used. And so we went through each on the town side and on the school side, and we looked at what are the departments or the facilities that require priority. Now, the committee reviewed on the town side, police department, fire department, highway department, the library, recreation commission, and conservation commission. In terms of the town, the biggest priority, the biggest need that was seen, or urgency, I should say, was the police department, a new police station. And that was basically, it deserved a priority ranking because we had discussions with the chief of police who felt that the current department is not meeting its space needs. And that has to do with a lot of things such as the conducting business in the police department. There isn't enough, or the prosecutor doesn't have enough space. Police officers don't have enough space to put their uniforms. These are just examples of things that the police department was providing us. Chain of custody evidence has been, secured. There are issues with that. The HVAC system, many different things, basically warranting a new police station. And whether that police station was going to be a single building, whether it was going to be attached to the fire station, or whether the town hall would essentially become the police station, and then you would have to build an extension to the town hall. So there were many different options that were brought to play on that. So, but the police department, I should say, was the urgent, got the urgent ranking. It's the highest priority on this list of capital improvements. Okay. The next one that we looked at was the fire department vehicles. Now, there are two vehicles. There's a 1991 tanker truck and a 1995 fire engine. We gave different priority rankings to both engines. And you'll see that 1991 pumper truck replacement. We, after discussions with Troy Brown, the town administrator, and with the police, with the fire chief, we came to the conclusion that this would probably be an urgent ranking or priority. And the 1995 engine replacement would get a desirable ranking. The reason I think this happened was if something happened to the tanker, it's my understanding, I guess the insurance company was not going to give, or would not give a replacement value. And so that is why we decided it would be urgent for the 1991 pumper truck truck replacement.
I have a question.
Mhm.
You said insurance?
Well, there was a discussion by the committee about something about replacement value. So.
Okay.
All right. Highway was next. And we looked at a number of things with we met with the highway department. We looked at different scenarios. One of the things that we looked at was the road resurfacing. And road resurfacing, we kind of divided into two individual parts. The first part being the operating budget, which we believe is a necessary. The committee, the Capital Improvement Committee, believed was necessary, voted on. And the road resurfacing warrant article, which is which we categorized as desirable. And this, I think, was I think the reason that this was discussed is just the decision to give the different priorities to the two items. And we didn't want to treat them as one project. The operating budget would receive a necessary and basically the warrant article desirable. And I think that we wanted to kind of separate that out. Backhoe replacement under highway, that received a necessary priority. The backhoe, of course, is used for highway. It's also used as a solid waste facility. And this was an important, we believe that it was necessary to make that, to prioritize that as necessary because of its use. Ford F-350 replacement. This is a vehicle replacement. There were three Ford's trucks, and we have the Ford F-350, the Ford F-450, and the Ford F-350. And these replacements, the Capital Improvement Committee believed would have to be classified as necessaries. Okay. Continuing on with the highway department, then we went to the 2000 plow truck replacement. This was also, we believed, a necessary. The plow truck, I mean, the year is 2000, so we need to replace it. I think it's the age of the vehicle, I think, was an issue. You have the 2009 plow truck replacement that was also found to be a necessary. The new plow truck was categorized as desirable. Then you have the 2009 loader replacement that was categorized as necessary. The salt shed was desirable. I guess the salt shed is desirable. My understanding was that that there was already a sufficient amount, I guess, of the salt that's in the shed, but they wanted to have an extension of it. So we gave it a desirable ranking rather than a necessary ranking because we already had the resource.
And Mr. Chairman, just to add to the salt shed
Yes.
conversation, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is one where in the wintertime when we have salt, the highway department can quickly use up our supply of salt just for road maintenance. And having an expanded salt shed was described as really a nice addition to what our town offers because, you know, as we're fighting to procure salt and fill our salt sheds in the winter months, so is in every other town. And having a larger capacity would help ensure that we always have adequate coverage for our streets.
Right. So, I mean, I think that we, I mean, there was an argument that also it could be necessary because we have snowstorms, you know, throughout the winter, but considering that, this, we are meeting our needs, we felt it was desirable. So we made the decision on that. Highway Department parking lot, that was also found to be a desirable in the priority of rankings. Then we looked at the library in town.
How about the rec commission?
What's that?
You're repaving a lot, the parking lot in Dara?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, I'm just saying because it's not paved.
Okay, well. So the library in town, there was we had discussion with the library about possibly moving the library in town and putting it in another location. The old library, there were issues with, according to the people with the library, issues with space and capacity and so forth. And but the only issue there was engineering costs and legal issues in terms of the library, I believe, is held in trust. What happens to the library if it stops becoming the building stops becoming a library? Where does it go? Does it revert to the grantor or whoever created the legal instrument and so forth? So those issues have to be looked into. And so there wasn't enough information that the Capital Improvement Committee could make a definitive decision. And so therefore we gave it a priority of research, which is basically going back and letting them do further research or further review. Recreation Commission. So the Darapon parking lot repaving, we gave this a desirable ranking to the regrading and paving of Darapon parking lot. Basically because the committee felt that the repair was needed. And so that was the decision.
Okay. Yeah, the word repaving is incorrect, though. It's paving. They don't have any hot tub up there now.
Well, I'll let you deal with that, Kevin.
Okay. That just made me laugh.
Okay. And finally, Conservation Commission. Now, there was a consensus because we met with the Conservation Commission and their land acquisition fund. And I believe the amount that's in that fund presently came to $700,000. Whether the commission, I guess the question was whether the commission did or did not would receive those land purchase funds. They were actually seeking $2 million for the land acquisition fund. The committee members discussed whether to prioritize it as desirable or deferrable. We if it was selected as deferrable, then the funds the funding would be removed from the analysis. And what the committee did, rather than look at provide the whole $2 million, we sort of broke it up, and you can see that. Maybe you can't see it. I'm sorry. For 2021. It would be $666,666. Then in 2023, there would be another $666,666. And then 2026, you would see $666,668. So it sort of broke it up over time. And I think the rationale being because the Conservation Commission already had $700,000 in that account, that this would be sort of a compromise. So, okay. So those are the projects for the town. So on to the projects for the school. Ooh. So, in terms of the priority of ranking, and we talked about the new police station as being the urgent on the town side, GMS was really would be probably on the highest priority on that as to urgency. And so a new pre-K to 5 elementary school was something that was talked about. And given the conditions of the GMS now, there are a lot of issues with the building. There is, a consensus that there needs to be a new school. Now, whether that's voted in by the townspeople is another story. Then you would have to deal with contingencies at that point. But for the capital improvement plan, as of now, GMS would be the highest priority on that list. Moving on to energy efficiency improvements, and those are for projects. The first one would be the Litchfield Middle School. This would deal with, I think, the HVAC system in the school. There's a real need for improving the efficiency of the HVAC, and there's a lot of it that can be very expensive. So the Litchfield Middle School energy efficiency improvements, we classified as urgent because they need to be sort of replaced or, repaired or replaced. And that has to be done soon. Campbell High School also had energy efficiency improvements as well, but we gave it a necessary ranking rather than an urgent ranking. So this one wasn't, it's necessary, but I think LMS is priority over that. The Campbell High School parking lot. So the parking lot was felt to be a desirable ranking. And the Campbell High School gym bleachers, necessary. I guess those need to be attended to, my understanding. So we gave that a little bit higher priority. The Campbell High School turf fields was deferred, DR for deferral. Then we looked at the parking lots for LMS and GMS, which got an I ranking because they were inconsistent. Andrew, do you remember what the reason was why that was inconsistent? I forget. For the parking lot.
The parking lots are really contingent upon the passing of the new elementary school, which is going to go to warrant to the voters as planned in 2023. And so if that passes, then this is no longer required, right? If it fails, then the parking lot and GMS as well as LMS will need to be addressed, given the other priorities within those schools.
Okay, thank you.
So it's a placeholder within the plan, contingent upon the whatever happens in 2023 to GMS Elementary School.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On Campbell, on the high school parking lot.
Yeah.
Is that resurfacing or is that expanding?
That is if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I think
that's a seal code.
Seal code, yeah, resurfacing.
Yeah, it's really maintenance, but because it exceeded the $50,000 threshold within our capital plan, it's included.
It's just seal coating, crack sealing, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there was another item, additional classrooms for LMS, and that one was also given an I rating. The reason being is that we don't know what's going to happen with GMS, the LMS situation. So there are contingencies that have to come about as part of the plan. So that was sort of left because we don't know what's going to happen yet.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit of additional color, if I may, right? And so the idea with GMS is that the new building, should it pass, will house students from pre-K through grade 5. Currently, that building in elementary is through grade 4. By having a grade 5, it frees up the portables that are currently at LMS, so we can get those removed and be gone with them permanently, which I think is welcomed by a lot of the citizens in town. Now, if it fails, then the LMS itself would likely undergo a renovation for an addition to house grade 5 in a new wing of that building.
Option A, option B.
Right, exactly. And finally, the capital repairs reserve budget was categorized as necessary. So if you look, project costs and project totals, for the town side, you have $13,973,552. The total cost for school would come to $28,483,629. And the total, for a total of $42,457,181.
Okay.
And that is what we have for the capital improvement. Andrew, is there anything that I missed that you want to add to this presentation, or?
No, I mean, so if you've been following along, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the time, I appreciate it, and well done on the presentation this evening, and thank you again to Jay as well for all of your support along the way. You know, the Capital Improvement Planning Committee really worked hard to thoroughly review the requests, make strategic decisions based upon the department head requests. We didn't want to discount or just, you know, ignore department requests at face value, which is why some of these requests remain in the plan. And you've seen things like R for the library, right? We wanted to make sure that, you know, if it's in the plan itself, even with $0, at least it can continue to remain in the plan, even though additional information is required before we could effectively make a decision. Just in terms of meeting cadence, I think it's important to note that the committee has also discussed this continuing to be a living, breathing document, which I think is where, if we look at past history, this is failed, right? Where we have a document, but it's not really well executed, not followed up upon. And then people come and go out of these committees, right? And so there's always a big question mark of why it was here, why it was there, what was the decision. And so this committee has agreed to a meeting cadence on a quarterly basis after we get through this September meeting cycle with the public hearing next, and then a presentation to the select board for their vote and adoption of the plan itself. The next capital improvement meeting will be in January, once we have a review of the warrant articles or an idea of the warrant articles and how that impacts this plan. And then again from there in April, so we can actually review the voting results from town meeting in March.
Right. So I think the goal, of this whole process is to make it a continuing process over time, and to rely on, what we've done in the past, what we're looking for now in the future. And I think it'll give a nice flow to how we proceed going forward in each time we have a capital improvement plan to come into play. So I think it's a nice way to sort of put this into perspective, and hopefully it will give us the opportunity to collect impact fees. That would be a nice thing too. So, I mean, having that said, I think that's what the idea of this.
This is a start.
It's a start.
That's all it is. It's just a start.
And it's a learning process. Okay.
One of the key things I think is important, and I think it should be, is that what the planning board has sent out to the residents, well, like it, good, bye, junk, whatever it may be. That's a key start too. Okay. We need to probably, if we're going to have a public hearing, we ought to get more input on that for that. And I think, how can we, I know I received it, haven't got to it, but others have probably done the same thing that I've done, just put it to the side. But we should say something, we should want this inventory or this thought process brought into us at the hearing as well.
Mhm.
Okay, just some more statistical data on what they really want. Now, you know, how you feel about that, sir? Up there on TV land.
Sorry, Jay.
Jay, it's you. It's you.
If that was anything to me, I just I mean, just a comment though, I think that obviously the process is still going. I think as mentioned earlier, there is a public hearing on the 23rd. So it's really important that people who are interested, participate in that. That's a great opportunity. But I said this has been a really thoughtful and deliberative process. So I think the outcome from this and the fact that there is an intention to keep this as a living document and for the committee to keep meeting, I think it is really, really great. It's going to serve the town well. Just back to the survey, just to note, right before the meeting, I checked 379 responses so far. I think that's a really great response rate. The survey is going to remain open through the 21st. So for anybody out there who has not had an opportunity yet to respond, please do. It is available on the town website. And, I'd encourage everybody to also, share it with your networks and encourage people to participate. Thanks.
Sometimes I just want to know, it came out once. We may have forgot about it. How can we renew it? The thought, if we sent it out, please get it in by such and such a date.
So Kevin, how did you receive the survey? You said you received it.
How did you receive it? Mhm.
By computer. Was it an
You got
email?
an email?
Yeah.
Where was that email from? Because I didn't get an email about it. I found out about it on Facebook, which is
Basically,
concerning.
well, okay, that's what I got. It was on Facebook. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. It's Facebook. I'm not a fan of Facebook. That's probably why.
Me neither. So that's why I want to know how else are we getting this out besides Facebook?
Can we use code RED?
So, Ms. Stevens, if I may, this is Andrew Cutter. Nice to talk to you. So I think one of the things that we talked about in terms of dissemination of the survey was to be able to push it using town mechanisms, town means. We have the IT leader here, John Burnell, on with us. I think the idea was, it's pushed out to all the approved social media sources through that feed, which hits various social media posts. It also hits the town account. So everyone who has access can see it. It's not just part of the WhatsApp feed.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's my issue is that you had to have volunteered for those social media platforms. Why aren't we using the code red or the school principal sending emails out or something like that?
This is Stephen Weber, and we actually did discuss using Code Red and also using the database at the school in order to get it out. I'm not sure if those two means have been activated or not thus far.
I haven't seen anything, and I'm on both of those.
So if we haven't done that, I think we're open until the 21st, so that still gives us an ample amount of time if we could reach out to the, I can get with Town Administrator Brown and get it out through Code Red. If we could get with, Chairman Burke of the school board, we could get it out to the school.
Thanks, I think we should do that.
I know there was a
definitely
discussion
agree.
too about the 55 and older communities. How getting that information out to them.
Yeah, because they're not on the media like we are.
Yeah. So
They're more natural.
Yeah, it's a good point, right? Planning, putting the survey aside for a moment, one of the things that we talked about as a committee pre-COVID, right, when our committee was starting to form is how do we engage the public as a part of this entire process? Obviously, that has changed given the new normal that we're all in. But one of the ideas was, we would have actual informal types of meetings at each one of these 55 plus communities, right? Where we could arrange sessions where they could feel comfortable to come in and ask the capital improvement planning committee questions about what's in the plan and make sure that their voices are heard. Obviously that's changed now, but I'm hopeful that through the public hearing and being able to disseminate information in that way and put it out through LCTV and other sources, that we're doing our best effort to make sure that the information is available to all who are interested.
Mr. Chair, back in the app, we have a method, I believe, through the fire department and emergency management. They have the contact for all the the 55 and older groups. So we can work with that. Troy, Steve, we could get Troy Brown to get that group and see if we can send something to them as well separately. I think the fire department does that quite often on their stuff for medical or stuff like that.
Yep, I can ask that question tomorrow to Troy and see if we can disseminate the information in some way to those names that we do have.
Yep. Thank you.
Is it on the town hall sign?
What was the question?
Supposed to be.
Is it on the town hall sign?
I do not believe the marquee has been changed at this point, but that's another great idea. We could actually put it up on the marquee at Town Hall.
Got two of them.
It's hard without the HLN anymore. It's hard. to
Or a
figure this out.
newspaper, period.
Right.
Does any members of the board have any questions? I know we went through this,
It was
a lot of information.
supposed to be at the main website, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Was it supposed to be on our main website, the survey? Access
It
to
is.
Yes.
Where is
It is, but I don't frequent that website very often.
I don't see
Yeah,
it.
She was
but-
referring to more to social media and.
No, I know, but this is one way they could get at it,
Right.
is through the main website, litchfieldnh.gov.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't see it here unless it's further down.
We can put that
Yeah,
out
I think
on.
it's a part of the feed, right? So you'd have to scroll down and find it now that it's been out there for
Right.
several days.
Right. But a banner would be nice, yeah. Oh, so they see it right when
Yeah,
they log on.
exactly, because you see just a little thing.
Right, and I mean, how you, I guess,
How
how
you
you
sell
show
it.
it,
How
and
you sell
how
it.
it's gonna be presented.
Right
is
in
gonna-
the-
That's how people are gonna
Yeah,
catch
Mr.
it.
Brunel just indicated he can make that change. Now, I guess the other part of the conversation, Jay, while you're on, has there been any rhyme or reason to the type of feedback being provided that you see in the 300 plus posts? I know when I reviewed a couple of days back, right, there was a lot of the same kind of vibe in the commentary where I'm just going to say no because it's all going to lead to tax increases, right? There were some responses to a new sidewalk that connects Albuquerque to Pinecrest, which, as a reminder, did go to voters a few years ago and failed. There was some commentary about a new community center, right, where the idea went to voters this past March and failed, right? So I don't know, what else has been suggested as a part of that, but it'd be really interesting to see if there's any trends.
Yeah, and those are definitely trends, and I didn't look through all the ones, the comments yet today to filter through them, but I'd also add there also does seem to be a lot of support for the new elementary school. But yeah, I mean, the comments are definitely span the range, and there are, there's also questions. People have questions about the age of certain vehicles and whether something really needs to be replaced or not. Certainly some comments on the proposed new police station. So there's definitely a lot of comments out there, and what we'll be doing is, summarizing as well as trying to categorize some of them. But for anybody who does want to go on the survey, even if you've already taken it, you can see the comments. All the comments that are up there now are public.
Okay.
So just kind of unrelated but related, right? Being as a part of the CIPC, I'd like to see a summary of all those comments because I think every comment is important to address. And I think, we as a committee should do that. We should take the time and answer the questions that are being asked so people feel heard.
I'd say up till just before the meeting, there were a total of 237 comments.
Okay, well, Steve and I are going to be busy. I don't know.
I'm thinking that what we should try to do at the public hearing of the 23rd, even if we do get a lot of input or limited input, I think we should try to address a lot of those comments that evening.
Yes, another great idea.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think it's great to see that many comments. It means that people are really engaged.
But that's, just over a week out. So we would need to get that information relatively quickly so we can put together a plan to address.
You ain't got
Yeah,
much
and that's
time.
also why, granted, it's not a whole lot of time. It was a balance between leaving enough time to be able to process the survey results and, the hearing. So we will have a couple of days at least to be able to process the survey results. And I will do that and get it out to everybody as quickly as I can, to the committee, I should say, as quickly as I can.
Thank you, Jay.
Jay, if you do send it out, send it to the chair.
What's that?
We can get those two for the comments.
Yes.
Okay, so that we'll have a better idea of what we're talking. I have one question on this. And looking at the police station, I know the voters, the firehouse didn't win by much. They wanted a safety complex and yada, yada, yada. But a new police station or the engineering or addition to the existing police station, because the town halls and stuff like that, then you have to deal with the infrastructure as much. You can gain what you need by adding on. And there's ample amount of room to do so. And subsurface there is too. So these are all things to think about. Now they do it. This building is at maximum capacity before you get into a sprinkler system. But the water is here now. So you may have to put a sprinkler system throughout this whole building, which is not a hard thing to do because these ceilings are all drop ceilings to get to. So it's all good. Cost-wise, it's not as hard. Just saying that out loud, okay?
Mhm.
So with that said, in this side, of course, the HVACs have been going for 20 years. They're
Mhm.
doing good.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
They're still alive up there. They're all originals, except for one.
Okay.
Mr. Cutter, I have a question. I think that you might be able to answer. I'm not sure if you know it off the top of your head. On this spreadsheet that you guys put together for us, or I think Jay put it together, it gives a tax impact if everything were voted in every year. And what's the average, I guess, tax impacts that we've had over the past, I don't know, 5 years or so?
Yeah, generally in the maybe $2 to $3 range per 1,000 is what's coming to mind. You know, we've had a lot of big ticket items, right? As you know, we've had the fire department come online. We've had significant road repairs. We've had, new needs. We have now the communications equipment that are going up for $700,000, which is a new bond payment that's being rolled into this year's operating budget. The actual dollar amounts, I don't know off the top of my head. I could certainly go back and look, but certainly taxes have increased. There's no question about it.
So because all of these projects, you look at them and you get like sticker shock from everything, especially in a short time period of 6 years. But this is still, about $2.50 across the board for each year would be the increase if every single one of these was voted in according to your
And
timeline.
it's compounded as well, right? So if you're looking at $2.50, I don't have it in front of me, but if you're looking at $2.50 for next year and $2.50 for the following year, it's in addition to the $2.50 next year, right? So it all compounds.
But what I'm saying is it's actually, that's what we've been voting in recently over the past 5 years. It's actually not that much different than how it's been recently. But I would like to know, expected increases, I guess, that we already have planned, like the fire station, I think bonds and things being paid off. I'm not a budget committee person, so I don't really know the terms, but we already are expecting some kind of increases anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So,
And even without, and in fact, this was discussed last night at the Board of Selectmen meeting, right? Where even in a good year, which we're not in, right, we're already going to be at the tax cap on the town side for budget, likely. So with that being said, having any new warrant articles to support anything that you're seeing in this planning committee, the budget committee would likely not be able to vote in support of because it would exceed the tax cap.
Mm-hmm.
okay. I think that for the public hearing, I think that's some crucial information, like to make it all relative and to have everybody get really the big picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And so just as a reminder, a few years back, the town voted to pass a tax cap on specifically the town side of the budget, which limits any increase to be a max of $175,000 over the previous year. Now, it's not just a straight, there's some formulas that go behind that to calculate how the $175,000 is derived. But in any event, it does limit and restrict essentially what the budget committee can vote on and approve.
So, and I think that was where I was a little bit surprised that there weren't more deferred projects, but I understand that we do want to get everything written down into the plan so that we can collect impact fees and everything. So I can understand the way that it was gone about, but the way it comes off to the public is that it feels disconnected from at least the survey comments and most of the tax increase concerns that I've heard.
Yeah, well, and again, right, this is all just planning at this stage. What is actually presented to the voters might be completely different or a subset of what you see in this plan.
I think that's another point that we want to make sure is emphasized at the public hearing.
Mr. Weber, anything to add?
Yeah, we definitely are in a very tough position from the municipal side with the tax cap. I mean, we do have the telecommunications coming on this year, and that one line item to pay for that bond is $150,000. The other part that's difficult within this plan is actually the tax impact per year, because we don't know what the funding mechanism would be for it and how long it would be. So we do not know what the exact tax impact would be for any of these items. So, it's pretty tough at this point. I know people would love to know what the tax impact is, but until we know the exact revenue source, how we're going to pay for the projects, what the actual tax rate is, because the DRA still has not set a new tax rate based off of the last 5-year assessment that was just done. It's very difficult to give that information, but I definitely do agree with Mr. Carter, the Board of Selectmen. We had a tough discussion last night. We're going to have many more going forward, and how we're actually going to bring a budget that meets the tax cap to the budget committee. And then on top of that, trying to get support for any additional warrant article that's going to be needed.
To add to that, at the last night's meeting we had too, we're still waiting for numbers from healthcare. And that's going to be the big, as usual, the big stuff.
Correct. We get some revenue numbers that we don't fully understand right now. Every year we get a highway block grant, which is $200,000 that you would have saw that was necessary, I believe, within the plan. And that goes in the operating budget. That's based off the gas tax. And with pretty much 6 months of people not driving, not commuting and so forth, therefore we're thinking there may be revenues down in that aspect. There's also another piece to our share from the state is for the
rooms and meals.
Rooms and meal tax. And of course, we have about $400,000 a year in rooms and meal tax towards our budget. And with nobody traveling and nobody eating out due to the COVID, that number could also be down. So at this point, we're not sure where our revenues are going to be. So it's going to be a very difficult year for the municipal side in order to bring a budget that's under the tax cap or meets the tax cap.
Unless you guys want to support a warrant article to change the tax cap.
Well, that's why we have town meeting.
May I add something?
Yeah.
I had 2 people approach me, knowing I'm on the planning board, who saw that survey from Facebook. And I think I don't know if it's too late, but I don't think they read the first paragraph of what the intent of this was. And they were screaming, I can't believe all these things are going to be on the tax, we're going to be voting on this. I can't afford to live in this town. So I think, I think that they need to, I think Kate brought up some good points. I think that looking at this survey, thinking it's going to be coming in the next 2 or 3 years. So I don't know. I don't think they understand this as a planning tool. So maybe relook at that paragraph, the introduction to the survey.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's right now, but could you put up the whole entire phased-in budget, Jay, that we did, the whole plan, to see how it phases in from 2021 through 2026?
I can.
Thank you.
Bear with me.
I mean, that may help the budget. Help the planning board also to see that all these are not coming in. It's actually staggered in. I know you did have a slide that showed the impact per year, but I don't know if everybody really looked at it.
It is up on the site, the meeting site.
Yeah, it is. And it will be up here.
And just while you load that, Jay, Ms. Cleanan, just to respond to your point, right? I don't know. I think I've tried to make every effort on every communication posted for capital improvement that this is specifically planning, right? And even some members of our town commented that, yes, we understand it's just planning, right? I don't really know what else we could do to make that as clear as possible.
Well, maybe bigger font or something, because they're going right by the directions or something. And they're really irate. I have to move. I can't afford this town. I mean, they're missing the point.
Now you know what it's like to be on the budget committee.
So I'm just letting you know that if you want valid results on that survey, maybe they have to really understand how they're filling it, why they're being asked what they're being asked, and in the long-term view.
Explain that it's not cut in stone.
Yes.
It's not cut in stone at all. Jay, one more thing, and that's a ledger. Explain what a U means, a U and a D. There's nothing here that says that, okay?
I'll
People will
scoot
read that and
down
go,
a little bit, but U means urgent.
I know that.
And then we actually have C, which is committed. We didn't have any of those. N is necessary. D is desirable.
Yeah.
DR is deferrable. R is research. And I is inconsistent. So those are the priority rankings.
Yeah, I understand that, but it doesn't say that on here. It just shows you a letter.
If you scroll down, Kevin, you'll see it in blue priority ranking.
Right.
It's at the very bottom.
On our PDF, it's not on there. I think it got cut off.
Oh, it might have been cut off. Sorry about that.
Okay, I'm good. It's not just me.
So what we need to make everybody aware of, and Mr. Cutter said it well, is this is nothing more than a planning tool. And what's going to happen is some of these warrant articles may pass, others may fail, and then that's why we're going to come back and meet on a quarterly basis. It's a living, breathing document. May have to shift priorities, shift years, and when these are going to happen. But it's more about trying to get to the town to where we need to be, with our capital improvements.
Okay.
Anybody
Hey,
have anything else?
I'm done. Let's go home.
Thank you.
Okay. So there will be, like I said, there will be a public hearing September 23rd on this improvement plan. So there'll be more opportunities to comment, and obviously to get more public input and go forward.
And John did mention, he just put it up on the town website, the community facilities survey, in a top banner on the website. And actually, John, do you think you could put in something about the public hearing? Or is that might be in the survey already? I'm not sure, in the information about the survey.
I can. I'll put something up there.
Thanks.
I think it's on the calendar as well, on the calendar of events.
I guess just because the election is up there, the presidential election is up there on the banner. I guess we can't make everything. Yeah, we can't put everything on the banner, can we?
We can change that date because they're later on.
Well, yeah, no. So if you scroll to the calendar of events on the 23rd, it says CIP committee public hearing.
Okay.
And the public hearing
it?
has been pushed out via social media from the town website.
Oh boy, social media.
All right.
Your Honor, I have nothing else.
You have nothing else? Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for the conversation. I think this was a really good conversation, and we look forward to presenting this at public hearing.
That'd be a one night if people gone, and then we want to be busy with the Wi-Fi thing.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, good.
Okay. And thank you, Andrew, for being with us tonight, and Steve, for your input as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee, for listening, and appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Greatly appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Committee reports. Do any reports of any committees? Do you have anything from NRPC?
Yes, we meet tomorrow at 7:00 p.m. and it's a remote meeting. Heritage Commission meets October 13th and on Tuesday. probably online one more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we had the Capital Improvement Committee meeting last Monday. Planning, the Conservation Commission, I may have mentioned this before, met on the first Thursday of the month. Another meeting is probably scheduled, I suspect, for the beginning of October. There has been no Lower Merrimack Local River Advisory Committee meetings, although my term is up
He looks happy.
and I have to renew. They leave that it is up in November. And so,
We need to make a motion.
well, I mean, I don't know if this board does. I used to be, I think, that the Board of Selectmen would make a recommendation, but I think they changed those rules, believe it or not. And I think the appointment now goes through the chair of the Lower Merrimack. But just point of
Well, it
clarification.
makes sense because the selectmen have nothing to do with it. Okay,
So,
really? Think about it.
yeah, think about it. Yeah, okay. So, I guess I'll be reaching out to Gene Porter. He's the chair of that committee, and I will ask to be reappointed.
Appreciate your kindness and giving.
I don't know, Kim, are you still have an interest in that committee at all? Is that you're just too busy? You think?
I'm really busy at the moment, but
Okay.
I just I became an executive commissioner at NRPC about a
Congratulations.
month ago, maybe. So
You joined them?
yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know yet. Let me get back to
Okay,
you on that.
all right,
Because
that's
it's
fine.
I have the
Okay, work
Heritage
with
Commission
Jay.
as well.
Hey, work with Jay.
Yeah, it's
God
wonderful.
bless him.
It's great. It's great.
Well, that's great. Congratulations.
We got humor here, Jay. We got a lot of humor.
Talk to you afterwards to see the schedule and what happens.
So I don't have anything else for committee reports. Approval of the 9/1/20 minutes. Have we had an opportunity to take a look at the minutes?
I have to step back because I wasn't here.
I saw
very
just
sorry.
one typo for me.
I was in another room
Okay.
taking a COVID test.
Oh, terrible. Sorry to hear that.
They wouldn't let me leave the hospital.
I just have one typo. I think it said Kim question land. It should be question, not question. And I can just send
Oh,
that.
that's,
Under the
Okay.
conservation open space development.
you're picky.
Okay.
But look good.
All right. There's no other comment. I mean, I can take a motion to accept them.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstained?
Have to stay.
501. And Curtis, I didn't forget you. I was trying to figure out who CS was. I finally figured out you. So you are on this evening. Welcome aboard. You're an alternate, correct?
I am, yes.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
You need
So I
a
didn't want.
face
I didn't
there.
want to not recognize you because I know you were on the call.
So I appreciate it.
So for Joan, she just has to go to conservation open space development. And where you see Kim question land protected, just put Kim questioned.
Okay.
Just she's going to watch the tape later.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Any other business this evening? Oh, there is one thing. I did ask Joan to reach out to those folks from Hudson.
Mhm.
She did not hear from them.
Okay.
Maybe for the next meeting, possibly. I think it's because of the timing of it. She didn't have the information, and I had to provide it to her. So she has the email address and all that information. So she's going to try and reach out to them.
Storage buildings?
Yeah, the Hudson project.
Okay.
So
They gave the selectmen here a board, a packet.
right,
Yeah.
right,
And
and
we
we
got a
got a
packet, too.
packet. So yeah, and we wanted them. They were going to invite them in to, because they had. They said that they would be willing to talk to us about it. So
Regional impact, they say.
Exactly. Anybody have anything else? Jay, do you have anything?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right. Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Discussion. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Those opposed?
After last night, I want to go.
Motion passes 6-0-0.
So's Russ.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Hope we will see you at the capital improvement committee on September 23rd for public hearing. Good night.